can we talk about the current maybe second baseman that we can talk about, because that has been official, and what kind of person you're getting with Marcus Semien?
Yeah, I think when we set off heading into this offseason, we JD and CY and I and ownership had talked about the plans beyond last year, and obviously we broke the thing down, took it down to the studs basically. Traded away some pretty good players and got a lot of talent in return. And knowing that this day would come where we have an opportunity to kind of go after the best in the game. When we set out and, had meetings and figured out who we were going to go after and why, and, the culture part of it, from an organizational standpoint was obviously at the forefront of my mind. And, luckily, front office and ownership were on board with that. The stars kind of aligned to have, in my opinion, the two best, two top targets, not only be great players, but, be phenomenal people. I obviously know the one you're discussing, which I can't say. But as far as Marcus goes, everything I had heard, everything we had read, and talked about with other people in different organizations, they raved about this guy. And, to get an opportunity to get this guy in, when we met with him, talked with him, got to hear from him personally, he blew us away. He blew me away, and basically after that meeting, we all kind of looked at each other and said, we have to have this guy. What he represents, how he plays the game, how he goes about his business, his mentality, his attitude, it literally is a perfect fit for us. And what I know from my vision, what I want our team to look like. So every day he steps into the clubhouse, every day he steps onto the field, he's going to, be a tremendous example for everybody in the organization, not just our young guys, but, older guys included. And he's just a remarkable human being, family man, everything that we're about. So we're just very, very fortunate. I feel very lucky right now to get the opportunity to manage him.
Like how is it what it makes him dynamic to what y'all are wanting to do? Because we talk so much about, Joey and all those guys, and they were doing everything you were asking. But what makes Marcus, like, what is he doing on the field with the bat that fits with what you guys preach?
Well, I will say, with Marcus and the obviously the one that I can't name, all three of our position players that we sign, including pitcher that we may sign that may be a
that we can't say either. I got another idea for that one. We'll get to that one.
But I will say that the position players, it's how they prepare, it's how they play the game, it's the style of play. That's probably one of the biggest things for me is that, we did that last year. We played hard. We didn't take a pitch off. We ran every ball out. We enjoyed the game. Obviously, you look at Adolis and some of the guys, I love it when guys, play the game with joy. And I think that, for these guys, the way they go about their business, they take nothing for granted. And when you watch these guys play in a spring training game in game one, they have the same, conviction, concentration that they would have, and I got to witness this in some instances with certain players, personally, in a World Series game, that they have the same attention to detail in their first game in spring training as they do in a game 6 or 7 of a World Series. And I know, in my heart of hearts, and CY and JD share this as well, that's what it takes to win. That's what it takes to not only win and, get into a playoff series, but also win a World Series. And I think that those guys represent that. They do that every day. They're going to push guys around them to do that. The game's hard. It's a 162-game season that, I would say 95% of players, don't do that on a consistent pitch-by-pitch, day-by-day basis. It's a really difficult thing to ask for a player. And those guys, do it, and they love doing it. They love to talk about doing it. Marcus Semien prides himself on that every day, and he talked about that. You see the growth he's had and, the improvement he's made in his career in all facets of the game. He came up and he had some struggles defensively. He fixed it. He worked on it every day. I watched him, from across the other dugout. Watched him go out for early work every day and watch the commitment he made to making his defense better. And then he talks about the adjustments on the offensive side and how he had to do that. And, it was a relentless, resilient approach to the game that, I preach every day. But when you have a player that's one of the best in the game who's dominated the league, and you have multiple players like that, they can hold everybody else accountable to that. And we have a young roster, obviously an inexperienced roster, that, went through a lot last year, but these guys are going to help them, and they want to help them. They want to lead. They want to show these things and show the fruits of their labor and how they just never took their foot off the gas and, never took a pitch off, basically.
One of the first things we did was we started to try and kind of fill out the lineup, the daily lineup. And, I think that's a fun thing to do. It's always a blast. So would you say that Marcus Semien would be hitting before or after somebody that might walk out to night moves?
That's a good question. I've thought about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You kept me up the other night just thinking, okay, it's a good thing to keep you up. Which spot? And I think it all depends on, the final moves, the final pieces that we put, come, January, February, when that comes around.
Okay.
There are some more potential moves, and I think that depends on who else we bring in. If it's pitching, if it's another offensive player or what, then, I think the answer will speak for itself, come spring training.
And the other name, and I think this one's official, I saw this morning from the Rangers Twitter, is Kole Calhoun. How does he fit in with where you want him to be? Is he outfield, first base, DH? What's the plan with him?
Yeah, I would think it'd be primarily right field. Could be DH. We know that there's some. He talked about some adjustments that could be made from last year. He's always been a very productive offensive player, but I think honestly that I totally believe in the man. He's very, very similar to the other guys. A relentless attitude, relentless spirit, which I love. He's a pain in the butt to coach against because he's diving all over the place, throwing runners out, and he's just the way he plays the game, the style, the way he plays is it's infectious. He loves being out there, and I think that kind of stands out. But he really enjoys the camaraderie of the team, being a leader. Kind of pushing the guys around him in a positive way. And I couldn't ask for a better, talking to him on the phone was a little bit like talking to, Hunter Pence back in the day, and was a guy that I was like, I need this guy on my team. Like, this guy has to be on our team with the spirit this guy has and his joy for the game and teaching the game and preaching the game. He can't wait. He can't wait to just get in front of our guys and start talking shop with them. So it's just a great fit for us. Great fit for our culture. Really happy to have him.
Would you say that we're done at this point? Is there more to come?
No, I think there's more to come. Definitely, I think so. And I don't think we're gonna, blow anything out of the water as far as long term, huge signing. But there's definitely more to come. I think this. I don't want to say it out loud, but the lockout, is obviously looming, and once that kind of gets cleared up, then we can kind of get back to resume. Right now we obviously can't make any moves after today, so until something gets done. So once that happens, then we'll get back. I'm sure JD and CWL will get back on the horn and try to improve our ball club.